This is Leveraging the Link with Ben DeCastro, your 10-minute podcast designed to maximize your impact on LinkedIn, growing your network and net worth. Whether you are B2B, B2C, or anywhere else in the grand scheme of business, it's time to go to the next level. It's time to start leveraging the link.
So let me just reiterate that point. The goal of this podcast is simple: to maximize your impact on LinkedIn, growing your network and your net worth. This podcast comes as the result of having practically the same conversation with 3 different business people in less than 24 hours. I came up with the title Leveraging the Link after recognizing that the commonality between those 3 conversations was the time factor. And in reality, leveraging time is something we battle with every day in work and life. Now, before I go down that rabbit hole, let me just clarify that no, this is not a Tony Robbins-like podcast. I'm not a motivational life coach, and as fun as it may sound, I'm not going to be setting up a walking on hot coals experience. But I will help you find the ways that you can leverage the time investment into the platform. A lot of people ask what it is that I do, and to sum it up nicely, I'm a social media influencer and creator. I make videos for my various channels, and I work with clients on their social media content and strategy. Additionally, I'm a radio host. I co-host the Wicked Roadie podcast with my friend Mary Larson. I'm a stadium announcer, 20-year volunteer firefighter, public speaker, musician. I'm even the author of a children's book. But this podcast isn't about me. It's about you and whatever it is that you do professionally, and how you can use LinkedIn in a strategic and a tactful way. This podcast is for the business owner, executives, entrepreneurs, independent contractors, VPs, directors, managers, from entry level to those with over 50 years experience, people who work with B2B or B2C, customer service, manufacturing, broadcast, nonprofit, education, public safety, marketing, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, I've worked extensively with the various social media platforms for well over the past decade and a half, and I've seen the amazing things they can do for a business when used as the precision tools that they are. I've also seen how they can be an absolute wrecking ball, destroying a business or an individual. I think it's safe to be inclusive and say that we've all seen how Facebook can tear friendships, even families, apart, and how Twitter can end someone's career faster than it took them to type in the 140 or 280 characters. But LinkedIn is different. It's maintained a level of professionalism and decorum over the years, and much of that has to do with the users who are on the platform. So how did we get here? Well, here's the quick history lesson. LinkedIn was created in 2002 and launched in May of 2003. Believe it or not, it's actually older than Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, even MySpace. But for the longest time, LinkedIn was considered the digital resume. It wasn't considered social media. In fact, in the early years, it was thought that if you had a LinkedIn profile, that you were jobless or you were looking to make a move. And if that was the case, you hope your boss didn't find your page or your profile because you'd be questioned. At the end of 2016, Microsoft acquired LinkedIn for $26.2 billion, and they've not stopped investing in it since. They've developed it to a point where it's now playing a critical role in the professional lives of millions of people. Microsoft has completely blown up the algorithm of the past and put the right people in the right roles to make the new algorithm, the current one, work phenomenally. Their ongoing updates and adjustments continue to be on point. You've probably heard that organic is dead on Facebook, and that may be true, but with LinkedIn, it's very much alive and well. Good stuff is recognized, and great stuff gets shared. Just for the record, I am not paid by LinkedIn to endorse their platform. They are not paying for this podcast. There are over 500 million LinkedIn accounts, according to Business Insider Intelligence. Estimates are that half of that number are monthly users, and from that number, less than 40% are daily users. Now, I'm not going to embarrass you here on episode 1, but what group do you find yourself in? Right now, LinkedIn is where most Fortune 500 decision makers and executives like to spend their spare time. What are they doing? They're actually scrolling through, actively looking for valuable content to read. They're not taking BuzzFeed quizzes or browsing wedding photos or posting memes. They're looking for content that can change the way they do business. That's right, LinkedIn is not only a networking site, it's a site where you can curate a feed from the most influential people in business as they share amazing content that is informative and educational to specific industries and to business in general. For almost 20 years, I've worked with Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses, a third-generation family-owned and operated retailer that has been in business for over 90 years. And if you're from the New England area, you're probably familiar with the brothers, Nick, Ron, and Pete Cardi, otherwise known as Nairobi. Well, they've been great mentors and bosses, and I consider them to be some of my greatest friends. As they grew up in the business, their dad, the late Nicholas Carty Sr., taught them many things, and of that is probably one of the greatest pieces of advice you'll need in order to get to the next level on LinkedIn. He said, walk around with an open hand and give to others. As you do, keep that hand open. People will give back to you. What Mr. Carty was referring to was that being generous in the community and supporting those in need will come back in the form of people supporting your business. Carty's is known in New England for their amazing philanthropic efforts with countless contributions to nonprofit and local charity groups of all sizes. They've received recognition from hundreds of organizations, including being recognized at the White House in 2006 when they met the president at the time, who was George W. Bush, in the Oval Office, receiving the ESGR's Freedom Award, which recognized Carty's on a national level as one of the top 15 companies who go above and beyond to support their employees who also serve in the National Guard. That lesson and mindset of walking around with the open hand is going to be a key element to your experience with LinkedIn. Sure, you can make connections, you can read articles and learn from the network that you curate, but what can you contribute? I'm not telling you you're going to have to share proprietary information or data and secrets that give your company a competitive edge, but there is a lot out there that can be shared that would greatly benefit the people you want to work with. And if not them, perhaps somebody in their network. So what will upcoming episodes of Leveraging the Link cover? Well, we'll cover topics like what you can bring to the table, how you can build and strengthen your network and convert the outbound to inbound. How do you convince your boss to invest? How do you connect with people on a professional social media platform? Believe it or not, a lot of people need help with that. How do you recognize the opportunities that are out there? And how do you balance the time? Also, from time to time, I'll bring on guests who have had success on the platform and talk with them about how they've made it work and perhaps some of the things that they had a hard time with along the way. My goal is to bring you excellent content along with actionable items that will change the trajectory of your month, your year, and your career. I'm not going to let the first episode end without giving you a call to action. What I'd like you to do is to go ahead and sign into your LinkedIn account and go through your profile with a fine-tooth comb. Now, I realize for some of you, this may require resetting your password because it's been so long that you forgot what your password was. As you go through, I want you to confirm that you have the correct contact information listed. Post an updated profile picture, a professional-looking one, and update your cover photo. Confirm that your company information is correct. Update your work history, your job titles, your roles, your responsibilities, your experiences. Keep in mind that the unique title you may have come up with, or something unique to your company specifically, may not translate that well across the board. It may be true, but for the sake of making solid connections, try to keep in line with the standard titles that are on LinkedIn. You can explain that unique title in the description portion of the experience, but when you're going through the actual drop-down menu and it gives you the suggestions, try to go with what is closest to your job title. Now, I know this sounds basic and simple, but believe me, before you can accomplish anything that remotely resembles success on this platform, you have to have the basic information correct. And a lot of us, sometimes we miss it because we just haven't taken the time to go over it with that fine-tooth comb. So please do that. And once you get all the basics correct and you've gone through everything, here's a bonus action item for you. Write a genuine recommendation for one colleague or a connection you know. Just one. And do not ask for one in return. Just give one. Okay, we're going to practice that giving thing right off the bat. One last thing, Stephanie, the lovely voice you hear on the outro, is going to ask you to subscribe and write a review. But I'm asking you at this point, don't write the review for this podcast just yet. Wait until you've heard a couple more episodes so you can really tell others what you think. I mean, who knows? After all this hard work, I may absolutely suck. And I would not want you to forever be associated with a disaster of a podcast. I've got high hopes, but so did the creators of Basketball. And with that, my friends, episode 1 is in the books. Thank you so much for listening and being part of this new podcast launch. Have a great day, and I'll chat with you on episode 2.
You've been listening to Leveraging the Link. Ben DeCastro is an award-winning social media influencer. Follow Ben on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or at benjamindecastro.com. Be sure to click the subscribe button so you'll have the next podcast as soon as it's launched. Feel free to leave an honest rating of this podcast, and if so inclined, share it with colleagues, friends, even your boss. The theme song is City Lights by Collington. Find them on Spotify, iTunes, and wherever you listen to music.